Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back to part 2 of this tutorial. And here's where we left off. We model everything. We got our phospholipid bilayer, our ion channels, and everything's animating. We're good to go. Now let's do some lighting and shading. So first, let's just take a look at the animation again. Okay, so and I just added a camera right now. And by default, if you just hit Control R, you have your default lighting, which doesn't look that good. So usually the first thing I like to do is to get my lighting looking somewhat pretty good. And I like to use the Grayscale Gorilla Lighting Kit Pro for this because I'm just using the basic standard render engine. And I'm going to throw in a linear skylight. And this is great because this kind of acts as my global illumination. You know, you can go here and add the global illumination effects here, but it's, you know, it's a little kind of slow and get like flickering issues. So whenever I'm using just the standard render engine, I try to go with this method. So let's change the colors a bit in the bottom. Let's make it, I don't know, like blue-ish, and on the top, let's make that a little greenish, something like that. And I'm gonna turn this off so I don't see my camera, and let's just render that real quick, see how it looks. Hitting Control R, and already right off the bat, without doing anything, it's already looking pretty good, just like that. Okay, cool. Next, I'm gonna add a softbox. And I'm gonna go all of my camera view and just kind of position this correctly so we have this distance. This is a really great tool to make the overall scale a little big. And you have these controls here where you can move it up. I just want to move it kind of up here. Let's see. And you have this. Let's see. Distance. So yep, you can move this back a little bit. And you have this decay fall off. So kind of just playing with these values. And let's go back to my camera. And let's do a quick render by region. See how it looks. Okay. Cool. Right. Okay. That's good. That's good. So pretty much, I just try to get something looking decent right off the bat, and then we'll go back in and start tweaking the details. So the approach I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make one material for the bilayer, and then I'm gonna just duplicate that for everything else. So let's go to my reflectance and add a Beckman. And here for now, you have all these presets. So I'm just going to use one of the presets that I use, Pearl. Okay, and let's do render real quick, see how it looks. Okay. Okay, cool. So yeah, I'm just looking for a little spotlight right up here, and this is a process. We're just kind of just like playing around, see what looks good. So that's all for now. Going back to my material. This is gonna be I'm gonna rename this as my cell memory. And for my color, I think I used a kind of a bluish color, and I'm going to add a subsurface material to this. So I'm going to turn off everything except for luminance first, and give my textures. I'm going to go to Effect and Subsurface Scattering. And just by default, I just want to see how that looks. So once again, in my region. So this is a default value. I haven't changed anything. Let's see. It's going to take a second to calculate. Down here it says preparing subsurface cache. And this process is usually like the slowest part because it has to calculate all these values. And all right, anytime now, let's go. What's happening? Oh, it's taking a long time, huh? Hold on. Okay, go to multiple, fast evaluation, and increase a little bit. Maybe just run 150, and let's try that again. Just gonna render. What the hell? Okay. You know what? I'm gonna go to my render settings. See, when I'm doing like preview and stuff, I just try to make it as fast as possible. Sometimes because there might be a lot of things, so it's kind of slow. So I just make it small. Take anything geometry. I'm not gonna save it. Current frame. Actually, I'm just gonna take none for now. So I'm just doing. Try to render to picture viewer. Let's see. Okay. Okay, let's go, bitches. Okay, there we go. There we go. Okay, so that's just the default subsurface scattering, and everything's kind of low quality right now, but you know, you get a sense of what it looks like, and that's kind of like pretty much all I did, really. I'm like, okay, that looks kind of good to me. So I'm going to go back and turn on my color and reflectance. And in my reflectance, I'm going to change this to add. And this is my default specular. You know, you can delete this if you want, but I'm just going to leave it on. Turn that down a little bit. And basically, that's took about 38 seconds to render, so I'm going to do another render preview. And I'm going to pause this. Okay, so we're back rendering, and yeah, so it's starting to looking pretty good. Okay, cool. So that looks good to me. So what I'm gonna do is, so that's my cell membrane material. So I'm just gonna duplicate that one, and I'm gonna make this my iron channel, and apply it, replace that one. And all I'm gonna do is just go in there and just change the colors. So change that to like a bluish color. Okay. And change that to a bluish color. Okay. Cool. Something like that. And once again, duplicate this. I'm gonna make this gonna be my surface proteins. And we'll replace that with this one. And go in here and change the colors one more time to something like red, and change the colors here to a red. Okay, cool. Now I'm gonna do another render test. So I'm hitting Shift R to render in the picture viewer, and I'm gonna pause my recording while it renders. Okay, so now we're back rendering, and already, as you can see, it's starting to take shape, our look. And obviously, the these I want to be a little more saturated, and these I want to be a little more saturated. So pretty much you just go back in your material and just you know, just make it more saturated. And I think the subsurface for the protein channel might be a little strong, so I'm gonna drop that down a little bit, change color more vibrant. Same thing for the red material, make it a little more vibrant, and something like that. And then I'm gonna turn down the reflection for this one a little bit, so reflection strength, just that down a little bit. And let's do another render preview, and I'm gonna pause this one more time. Okay, now we're rendering again, and yep, it's starting to take shape now. So let's look back to our history. So first time, got this, right? Now we got this. So that's pretty much the method. You just keep tweaking your values until you get the value looking good. And I'm gonna duplicate this one more time, and this is gonna be my ions. So close this. I'm gonna apply this to the ions, and once again, just going here, I'm gonna change the colors. We'll go to my luminance. Gonna do a bright orange-ish color, something like that. My colors, the orange color, something like that. Right, and let's go down a couple frames, and let's do another render preview. I'm gonna pause the recording while it renders. Okay, we're back, and this time it's taking about 40 seconds to render. So this is not a cheap render because subsurface, you know, you got to calculate all these values, so it's a little heavy, but the end result looks great, so it's kind of worth it if that's what you're going for. Okay, so that's kind of the base for what I want to do, and of course, you know, you can go back there and tweak the values as much as possible. You know, you can position, you see the reflection, that's the softbox right here. You can position that elsewhere if you want the highlights to be on the other side or whatever, change the light value. But that's pretty much the idea. And now I'm gonna use two main passes for my compositing. I'm gonna have a beauty pass, which is this one, and I'm gonna have a depth pass. So I'm going to go into my multipass and enable depth. And in my camera, I'm going to go to a side view. I am going to make sure your focal point is right in front of your cell membrane, and go to details. And then this is pretty much the range you want to map your depth to. And let's go back and make sure multipass is enabled, and let's just do another render test. And I'm gonna pause this while it renders again. Okay, it's done finished rendering, and so when you go to your layers under your passes, you have your background, your main beauty pass, it's your alpha channel, and this is your depth pass. And as you can see, the black values represent the things that are the closest to you, and as you push away from you, you create a gradient like so. So that looks good. So pretty much at this point, I just kind of I rendered out a sequence for my beauty pass, and also the depth pass, and then let's go into After Effects and show you how I composite this. So I'm going to pause this once again. Okay, here we are back in After Effects, and so I have my two passes. So this is the actual render I did for my animation. This one, the first shot right here. So this is the beauty pass, and we have a depth pass like so. And in my animation, I actually had these little environmental particles, and these are just spheres. And I can show you real quick how I did that. So pretty simple. You just make a sphere, drop that into a cloner object, and change that to a grid. Render resistance checked. I'm gonna move this whole thing up. Oops. Grid. And you can just like, spread that out, scale down your sphere, and add more clones, and then you just apply a random effector to the whole thing, and you want to make sure you change that to a noise, and values, you can crank that up to whatever you want. Maybe add a little bit of scale difference. Actually, no, don't need this. And when you play back, and right now it's really fast, so you want to slow that way down, like maybe like 5. Right? So we have just these little environmental particles, and pretty much the exact same method. I just copy the material and apply it to it. So that's that. Okay, so in After Effects we have my beauty pass and I have my depth pass. So I'm going to drop that into a new comp. Right? And I'm going to make a background layer. And what I'm going to do is to apply the 4-color gradient as my background. You can move these colors around. And at this point you can just pick whatever color you want. So let's change that to like a greenish color up here. Change that to a greenish color up here. Maybe a little more saturated. Down here maybe like a darker bluish color. Something like that. Let's see. Like that. You can move this around. Okay, cool. I'm going to Control Y to make another solid, and it's going to be my vignette. Go up here, double click, make your mask, subtract it, feather it out, resize that. Oops, like so. Change this to multiply, hit T for opacity, and just kind of scale that down a little bit, or turn down the opacity. Okay, cool. I'm going to drop the depth layer into his own pre-comput. So this is going to be my Z depth, and this is going to be my main beauty pass. And I'm actually going to invert this like so, and let me add a little bit of curves to it, like so. Curves to it. Okay, cool. And then I'm going to duplicate this one. I'm going to call this my opacity. I'm going here, and I can adjust this a little bit more. Maybe I don't even need the curves. Okay, now I'll go back to your main beauty pass. I'm going to drop this opacity up here first, and I'm going to use a Luma mat, track it, because this creates an environmental effect, so that if you study any like underwater or environments, like a fluid environment, see that as things get farther away from you into the distance, it blends more into the background. So I found that this way is really easy for that method. And you can go back here and you can adjust that. And if you go back, you see like so. And a little trick I could do is, with my opacity layer, I can add a tint, and with this you can control like the opacity. Maybe like you're like, oh, this is too much, right? So you can actually control this like so, as much as you want. And now I'm going to drop the Z depth pass in here, and I'm going to make an adjustment layer, and this is going to be my depth of field. So I'm going to apply the depth of field effect from Fish Loop, It's a great plugin. You should get it if you don't have it. I'm going to select a layer, pick a point where I want things to be focused, and just crank this up. It's like 10, and boom, there it is. Nice, right? Okay, now I'm going to use another adjustment layer, and this is going to be my color correction. So I'm going to add curves like so. Just add a little contrast. Maybe add glow. See how that looks? Oh, very glowy. Turn that way down. Let's see. It's like, this is the fun part. This is where you can just experiment and do what you want. So that's kind of the idea right here. And I think the last thing I did was I added a texture. So if you go in Google and you look up dirty glass texture, go to images, you find some like really cool textures like so. This one, awesome. This one, it's also awesome. And yeah, I think I'm just gonna bring that in. Hold on one sec. Okay, we're back. So I imported those textures I found on Google. I'm gonna drop that in. I'm gonna drop that behind everything, and because I have the depth of field effect applied here, it does this really nice bokeh blur, and you can just add a little curves to that if you wanna crush that a little bit. Like so. And change the mode to try color dodge. I either usually try color dodge or add, it's whatever looks better. And you can just turn down the opacity a little bit like so. And you can go in the beginning and do a little scale gag in the beginning. Go to the end. I'm gonna scale that up a little bit, and let's preview that. Yep. So that's pretty much it. I mean, it's really easy. You can add whatever you want. You can add some lens flares in there, add some more colors, but that's essentially how I put this together. Oh, well, one more thing real quick. I think another thing I forgot to do is I duplicated my beauty layer. I put below this one. I'm gonna solo this real quick, and I'm just gonna mask off. Oh, I'm just gonna mask off this part like so. Feather that out a little bit, and I'm gonna use exposure and make it dark, very dark. And I'm gonna apply a fast blur to this, like so. Now I'll solo this. I'm gonna change that to multiply. So that kind of just like adds kind of a shadow-ish kind of thing. So it looks like there's some weight to this, to my sound memory. Yep, and you can adjust the opacity down here. And you can make it even darker if you want. And let's run that back again. Let's see. And I'm gonna pause this while it run previews. Okay, now it's done finishing run previewing, and here we go. That's pretty much our animation, and yeah, that's pretty much it. Looks great to me. And hopefully, once you get this, you will do the same thing to the different shots and edit them together, add some sound effects, and boom, you're done. So I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial, and I will see you next time. Thank you for watching.